Hey there, welcome to another episode of Bill Selak Talks. My name is Bill Selak. This is me talking. So, this is the fourth episode, depending on how you're counting, eighth-ish episode of the Rising Decline project, where I go through my old punk rock band Rising Decline's second album, Camden Road, and go song by song, break it down, connect it with education to technology, to educational technology, to art, to music, to all the things. So, this song, fourth track, Lemonade, it's one that I wrote mostly by myself. Most of the tracks that we recorded, most of our songs, that's a weird way to say, most of the tracks we recorded, most of the songs we had, Brent was the main songwriter. He'd have an idea, bring it to me, I'd kind of flesh it out, add the music theory nerdiness and complexity to it, harmonies, and then turn it into a song. So this one, I feel like I had heard him like noodling with some chords at some point and just like had those stuck in my head. And so it's one of the simpler songs I wrote kind of music theory wise. And I looked at the lyrics and was surprised at kind of how heavy and how dark they were. As a reminder on this, I guess I should have said before we got going too far, you're going to listen to me talk about track 4, Lemonade, and then the next podcast episode is going to be just that song in its entirety. No intro, no whatever. I like them as just like a standalone thing instead of like, oh, I really like that song. Well, you have to like fast forward to 12 minutes in. That always bothers me when people do that when they have music in a podcast episode. So I kind of do a distinct episode for talking about it and then an episode where it's just the song, which is, I think is cool. Which is why I'm doing it. But for this one, you'll have the lyrics on it if you want to look at that. There's one in particular that really resonated with me, and I was initially kind of theoretically outside of life and responsibilities and and moods and health and all the things. I was like, all right, I'll do like an episode a week. And life has felt just like really heavy. There's just like a lot in life. I'm guessing you can resonate with some of that. And the lyric that really stuck out with me was in the chorus, and it was play some chords. And so it was all about like kind of going through life when things are rough. And I don't remember what it was with this. The lyrics start off with dust the coffee table, straighten up the shelves, just kind of going through the motions, but not like really like getting stuck on a thing. I don't know what Past Bill was doing, but the chorus was gotta leave reality, play some chords. And I remember a lot, the meaning behind that was like, I don't know how to process this thing, and so I'm going to play guitar. And that's really the theme of what this episode is about, is like, why art? You know, for so long when I was teaching music, which I did for 4 years, I was teaching 4th and 5th grade music. I was like, well, cool, like my kid's learning the clarinet, but they're not going to be a professional clarinet player. Like, what's the point? And I guess you could say that about kind of most things. And I know a lot of science teachers have the answer of like, well, I want them to develop kind of the scientific method or like a scientific lens of approaching the world. And I've talked a lot on this podcast about the musician's lens, the ability to kind of approach a problem in a genuinely collaborative way, just like you would do so if you're playing in a band live. And so that's kind of been kind of the go-to answer. And I want to explore kind of 2 different paths of what that one lyric of like kind of playing some chords to get through a tough part in life and kind of what that means to me. And I finally kind of got unstuck. So aside from like the plan of like one podcast episode a week, I've never done that. But also I just was like, I was kind of stuck on this. I'm like, what do I talk about with this song? And I saw it was around one of the more recent school shootings and seeing on Instagram what different people were sharing. And the one thing that really stuck out to me, I'm going to read this for you. When the world is too scary, too loud, too much, stop consuming, start creating. I love that. Stop consuming, start creating. And I've seen a lot of different versions of this. Stop scrolling, start making art. It's up to like the artists, which I would very much include musicians in, to start making their art when it's time, when life is big, when life is heavy. And for me, I think that's really what this gets at, is like life is heavy. And so play some music. Like that helps. You don't have to like write out an essay. It doesn't have to be a talking through your feelings. It can be like making art as a way to like process feelings and emotions. And I think that's absolutely valid. I think so much of American culture has made music, but also kind of all hobbies, all kind of things that humans just kind of do, as like you have to be good at it. You have to be making money at it. Like there's this like monetizing thing. If you're listening to this, you're perhaps one of my friends. If not, you are now. Like, cool, done. A lot of my friends have shared things on various social media, and a lot of ed tech friends are like, oh yeah, Enneagram this and that. And I have found that a lot of my friends are Enneagram 3s. And so in a nutshell, what this means is like, I like this thing. And so two things happen. I like this thing and I have to be good at it. And then I have to monetize it. And I think for sure for this kind of personality type, like you can't just like a thing and do a thing. You have to like it, be good at it, and monetize it. And I think there's a real danger in that. And I look back at like all the things I've enjoyed doing, like in all of my 20s. And it was like, I don't know if it was me trying to find a career or just like income or what, but it was like, oh, I'm good at this thing. That is my new thing I will monetize. Kind of before the monetizing culture. It was like in the 2000s. So it was, I'm good at playing guitar. That is my job. And I loved it because I got to like play music for a living. But then also I'm always guilty of like, as soon as it becomes a job, it feels like a job and it stops being the thing I love in the way I loved it. It loses kind of the purity of it. And I think there's a real danger with that, the way we kind of approach like skills in education, careers in education. It's like, what's the thing you want to do when you grow up? That's so problematic in so many ways. The question I love is like, what matters to you? Next time you see a kid and you want to ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up? Instead, ask them what matters to you. Like that's a way more interesting conversation with kids that are below 20. Really any human, not what's your job, what matters to you. I like that question a lot. I also saw one of their posts and it was like, it touched on kind of this idea. I was like, okay, cool. Like that's, for me, like that is the gift that Past Bill did by writing this song. So it's like how crappy it is that baseline human activities like singing, dancing, and making art, I'm adding music, turn into skills instead of being seen as behaviors. So now, and I'm just reading this quote. So now it's like, the point of doing them is to get good at them and not, this is a thing humans do, the way birds sing and bees make hives. I know I've posted this before, but it bears repeating. This is a thing humans do. You don't have to be good at it to enjoy it. And I love everything about that. I think there's two ways of it. It's like you can just do a thing because you want to do the thing. I know almost zero adults that still paint. I think we did that in elementary school and then stopped, unless you happen to be really, really good at it. And then you did it because you were good at it. And then you were like the art kid in middle school and in high school and college. And by the time you got to college, you were like really good at your thing. But also like, we're just humans. We need to make art and do things. If you have an instrument, like play the instrument because you can play the instrument. You don't have to be good at it. You don't have to make money at it. You don't even have to have like an outcome. Even if you do make money at these things, you can also just like make the thing to make the thing. And what I love about some of the non-destructive arts, like photography, songwriting, song playing, video, like movie making and video editing, all of that, like all of those are free. My wife is a modern quilter. She makes really, really cool stuff, by the way. I follow her on the Instagram at South Bay Bella. But like that costs money, and I would struggle with that so much. None of my arts are like pay per make. They're like, buy the thing and then it's just free to make. Like podcasting. I have the microphone, I have the computer, I can just like hit record, talk, and I'm good. I don't have to pay like $5 for fabric to cut to turn into my art. So truly, like for those kind of non-destructive, like non-physical things, like there's no downside to making like bad art. I know, like I've seen quotes over the years, I think it was Kurt Vonnegut that talked a lot about this, like just make the thing. It doesn't have to be good. You don't have to share it with anyone. There's really something to be said for just making the thing. And the kind of two parts to this, I keep bouncing kind of back and forth. Like for me, like the world and the news and life feels kind of heavy. And I love the idea of stop consuming, start creating. And then part two is like a way to process those things is just to like do your art. Write the song, play the song, sing along with a thing, make an episode of a thing, like draw the thing, take a photo, make a video, make a quilt, mini quilt, whatever the thing is going to do, like do that thing and have that thing help you get through the hard thing. And it doesn't have to be good. And I think that there's a real beauty in that. And I think that, I don't know quite how we do that, but like the way we talk about art in school tends to, like in my experience when I was in school, it was like art was like an extra thing. Art was a fun thing. And I don't know that it needs to be that. I think it can be a way to get through hard things. And I also think just at its most basic, it can be a thing that humans just do, right? As cheesy as that sounds, like we're humans, we make art. So that is my challenge for you. Coming up next, by the way, you are going to be hearing this song, Lemonade, in its entirety. It's like a minute song, a minute and a half. The only thing I want to say explicitly about this song, it's such like an early 2000s punk rock thing, where there's like a recording from a TV show or from a movie. In this case, it's super obvious. It's from, of all things, SpongeBob, about being loud and being good, and people pay attention when you're loud. And so that's at the beginning and the end. When I was remastering this song, I almost got rid of that. I was like, nope, we're going to just keep that because that is a thing. That's very much like an early 2000s punk rock thing. I wonder if they still do that. I wonder if that's going to come back. Anyway, if you're just listening to this episode kind of out of nowhere, this is about the fourth track of Rise and Decline's second album, Camden Road. Go back and listen to the first 3 podcast episodes about education and technology. And then in between each of those, you'll hear each song. Song 1, 2, 3, and now song 4. So that is all. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this song. My name is Bill Selak. This has been me talking.